From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch. Truth seekers, historians, and all those walking the path of knowledge, welcome back. Tonight, we step into 1969, a year of fire, flight, and fierce transformation. A year that shouted across the globe and echoed deep into the soul of America. This was the year Neil Armstrong placed a boot on the surface of the moon and said the words that stopped time, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." It was also the year Woodstock happened, a generation gathering not just for music, but for a movement. It was a peaceful rebellion wrapped in song, sweat, and muddy hope. But not everything was harmony. In Vietnam, the war still dragged on, and with it, so did the draft, the protests, and the pain. In January, Richard Nixon was sworn in as President of the United States. But before that baton was passed, Lyndon B. Johnson left behind a final legacy of orders and reforms that shaped the closing chapter of his presidency. Around the world, the Cold War intensified. Yasser Arafat was named leader of the PLO, and Britain sent troops into Northern Ireland, setting off decades of tension. Here at home, we watched as the Stonewall riots lit the flame of LGBTQ+ activism, the kind of resistance born out of long-held silence. 1969 wasn't just a transition of power, it was a clash between eras. The old world fading, the new one kicking and screaming into existence. Now we're checking back in with President Joe Biden, who's going to walk us through those final executive orders signed by Lyndon B. Johnson and reflect on what they meant back then and what they still mean today. Joe, the mic is yours. Thank you, E-Millions. Now, let's talk about Richard Nixon, a complicated man, a calculating politician, a president whose legacy is forever marked by both tremendous geopolitical moves and a deep breach of trust that shook this nation to its core. In 1969, Nixon stepped into office as the 37th President of the United States. The country was torn by war, by protest, by doubt, and Nixon promised to be the steady hand. To be fair, he made moves that echoed across the world stage. He started laying the groundwork for what would become the historic opening to China. He pushed for détente with the Soviet Union, easing Cold War tensions. He even created the Environmental Protection Agency, which would come later. But its roots started in the pressures and pollution of his early years. But let's not sugarcoat it. Watergate, a scandal that would unfold later, began with an operation rooted in paranoia, deception, and abuse of power. What started as a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters would unravel into one of the darkest political chapters in our history. Nixon didn't just oversee corruption. He tried to cover it up. He lied to the American people. He obstructed justice. And eventually, it caught up with him. He resigned before he could be impeached, the first and only president to ever do so. A moment that proved our system bends but does not break, that no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. Now, let's rewind back to the beginning, to 1969, Nixon's first year in the Oval Office. What a year. The Vietnam War was raging. Nixon introduced his Vietnamization policy, the plan to withdraw American troops and shift responsibility to the South Vietnamese. Sounds promising, but it would stretch out the war for years to come. Then came Apollo 11, July 20th, 1969. Americans watched on live television as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. A triumph of science, courage, and national ambition. Nixon called them from the White House, what he called the most historic phone call ever made from the White House. He wasn't wrong. Here at home, there was Woodstock, a muddy field, 500,000 young people, and 3 days of peace, music, and a cultural turning point. But also, there was Stonewall, June 1969. When police raided a gay bar in New York City, people fought back. That resistance sparked a movement, the modern LGBTQ plus rights movement. It started not with legislation, but with fire and fury and a refusal to hide any longer. Meanwhile, racial tension remained thick across the country. The work of the civil rights era wasn't finished, not by a long shot. So when Nixon entered the White House, he didn't just inherit the power of the presidency, he inherited a country at war with itself and unsure who to trust and how he chose to govern. Well, that story's still being written in the cautionary lessons we teach our children. Now, with that foundation laid, we're going to take a deeper look into Nixon's 1969 executive orders, starting at the beginning and asking not just what he signed, but why. Let's get to it.
The year was 1969, a year of reckoning, of ambition, and of responsibility. I had just taken the oath of office, the 37th President of the United States. The nation I inherited was weary, divided by war, torn by protest, shaken by assassinations, and uncertain of what tomorrow might bring. From the very beginning, I knew my presidency would be defined by how I handled Vietnam. I introduced what would become known as Vietnamization, a policy to draw down American troops and empower South Vietnamese forces to take the lead. I believed then, and still believe, it was a necessary step to end American involvement with honor, not humiliation. But it wasn't just the battlefield overseas. There was a cultural war boiling here at home. In July, the world watched in awe as Neil Armstrong took that first step on the moon. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. That wasn't just a line. It was a statement of American potential. It reminded the world who we were and what we could achieve when united by vision and will. Meanwhile, across the country in a muddy field in New York, Woodstock happened. 500,000 young Americans gathered for music, for peace, for rebellion. It symbolized a generation hungry for change, not always in agreement with me, but deeply passionate nonetheless. And in June, at the Stonewall Inn in New York City, a spark ignited. It was the beginning of a movement, a stand for dignity, identity, and rights. The LGBTQ plus community, long marginalized, had risen to say, enough. Now, I didn't always agree with every protest, nor did every movement align with my administration's views. But as president, I understood one thing clearly, that governing in 1969 required a balance of power, pragmatism, and perseverance. I came into office determined to restore order, to quiet the divisions, and to reshape America's standing on the world stage. That meant strong rhetoric, strong policy, and decisive action. I believed in executive leadership, and I used executive orders as a vital tool to guide federal action where Congress was gridlocked or too slow to meet the moment. And while I'll hold off on those specifics for now, make no mistake, those orders reflected how I governed, directly, deliberately, and with a focus on results. So, as we turn the page into the policies of that pivotal first year, know this: 1969 was not just the start of my presidency. It was the start of a reshaping of the presidency itself. Let's begin. Executive Order 11,452, establishing the Council for Urban Affairs on January 23, 1969. Executive Order 11,453, establishing the Cabinet Committee on Economic Policy on January 24, 1969. Executive Order 11,454, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Government Operations on February 7, 1969. Executive Order 11,455, establishing an Office of Intergovernmental Relations on February 14, 1969. Executive Order 11,456, providing for a special assistant to the President for liaison with former presidents on February 14, 1969. Executive Order 11,457, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Committee on Government Operations, House of Representatives on March 4, 1969. Executive Order 11,458, prescribing arrangements for developing and coordinating a national program for minority business enterprise on March 5, 1969. Executive Order 11,459 designation of the Secretary of Transportation to approve and certificate containers and vehicles for use in international transport on March 7, 1969. Executive Order 11,460 establishing the President's Intelligence Advisory Board on March 20, 1969. Executive Order 11,461 inspection of income, estate, and gift tax returns by the Committee on Public Works, House of Representatives on March 27, 1969. Executive Order 11,462, providing for the closing of government departments and agencies on March 31, 1969, and for the granting of administrative leave on March 28, 1969. Executive Order 11,463, placing an additional position in Level 5 of the Federal Executive Salary Schedule on April 1, 1969. Executive Order 11,464, modifying rates of interest equalization tax on April 3, 1969. Executive Order 11,465, inspection of income, excess profits, estate, and gift tax returns by the Committee on Internal Security, House of Representatives on April 10, 1969. Executive Order 11,466, administration of certain jointly funded projects on April 18, 1969. Executive Order 11,467, delegating to the Secretary of State authority to approve or reject recommendations and actions of certain fisheries commissions on May 1, 1969. Executive Order 11,468, amending Executive Order number 11,248, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Federal Executive Salary Schedule on May 10, 1969. Executive Order 11,469, extending the life of the National Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Violence on May 23, 1969. Executive Order 11,470, prescribing arrangements for the structure and conduct of a national program for voluntary action on May 26, 1969. Executive Order 11,471, relating to the implementation of the Convention on the Service Abroad of judicial and extrajudicial documents in civil or commercial matters on May 28, 1969. Executive Order 11,472, establishing the Environmental Quality Council and the Citizens Advisory Committee on Environmental Quality on May 29, 1969. Executive Order 11,473, amending Executive Order number 11,157 as it relates to incentive pay for hazardous duty involving participation in flight operations on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier on June 14, 1969. Executive Order 11,474, adjusting rates of pay for certain statutory schedules on June 16, 1969. Executive Order 11,475, adjusting the rates of monthly basic pay for members of the uniformed services on June 16, 1969. Executive Order 11,476, prescribing the Manual for Courts-Martial United States 1969, revised edition on June 19, 1969. Executive Order 11,477, authorizing the Atomic Energy Commission to make certain awards without the approval of the President on August 7, 1969. Executive Order 11,478, equal employment opportunity in the federal government on August 8, 1969. Executive Order 11,479, the Honorable Everett McKinley Dirksen on September 8, 1969. Executive Order 11,480, the President's Committee on Employment of the Handicapped on September 9, 1969. Executive Order 11,481, the Honorable Everett McKinley Dirksen on September 10, 1969. Executive Order 11,482, establishing a Construction Industry Collective Bargaining Commission on September 22, 1969. Executive Order 11,483, inspection of income tax returns by the Select Committee on Crime, House of Representatives on September 23, 1969. Executive Order 11,484, designating the United International Bureau for the Protection of Intellectual Property, BURPI, as a public international organization entitled to enjoy certain privileges, exemptions, and immunities on September 29, 1969. Executive Order 11,485, supervision and control of the National Guard of the District of Columbia on October 1969. Executive Order 11,486, creating an emergency emergency board to investigate disputes between the carriers represented by the National Railway Labor Conference and certain of their employees on October 3, 1969. Executive Order 11,487, designation of officers of the Department of the Interior to act as Secretary of the Interior on October 6, 1969. Executive Order 11,488, including certain lands in the Cherokee National Forest on October 13, 1969. Executive Order 11,489, amending Executive Order number
11,248, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Federal Executive Salary Schedule on October 27, 1969. Executive Order 11,490, assigning emergency preparedness functions to federal departments and agencies on October 28, 1969. Executive Order 11,491, labor management relations in the federal service on October 29, 1969. Executive Order 11,492, amending Executive Order number 11,398 with respect to the Citizens Advisory Committee on Physical Fitness and Sports on October 30, 1969. Executive Order 11,493, establishing the Council for Rural Affairs on November 13, 1969. Executive Order 11,494, establishing the Presidential Citizens Medal on November 13, 1969. Executive Order 11,495, providing for the administration of the Disaster Relief Act of 1969 on November 18, 1969. Executive Order 11,496, regulation governing the entry or withdrawal from warehouse of certain meat with respect to which an agreement has been concluded on November 21, 1969. Executive Order 11,497, amending the Selective Service Regulations to prescribe random selection on November 26, 1969. Executive Order 11,498, delegating to the Secretary of Defense the authority to approve regulations governing the early discharge of enlisted members on December 1, 1969. Executive Order 11,499, amending Executive Order number 11,248, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Federal Executive Salary Schedule on December 11, 1969. Executive Order 11,500, amending Executive Order number 11,452, establishing the Council for Urban Affairs on December 12, 1969. Executive Order 11,501, administration of foreign military sales on December 22, 1969. Executive Order 11,502, enlarging the membership of the President's Committee on the National Medal of Science on December 22, 1969. Executive Order 11,503, excusing federal employees from duty on December 26, 1969, on December 23, 1969.
Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at DaBomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search DaBomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
My fellow Americans, let us look back on the year 1969. It was the beginning of Richard Nixon's presidency, a time of unrest, transformation, and global reckoning. Nixon stepped into office during a storm of division from the Vietnam War to the rise of protest culture. but he brought with him a strategic political mind and a heavy reliance on executive orders to move his agenda. First, let us remember what was happening around the world, and here at home, major events around the world. The Apollo 11 mission made history with the moon landing a triumph of American innovation. The Vietnam War escalated even as Nixon proposed Vietnamization, pulling troops and placing burden on South Vietnam. The internet as we know it began its first steps through ARPANET. Across the globe, Libya's monarchy was overthrown, giving rise to a new era under Gaddafi. And in Northern Ireland, tensions ignited what became the Troubles events that shaped America. The first military draft lottery since World War II reshaped families and futures. The Stonewall Uprising sparked a nationwide fight for LGBTQ rights. The environmental movement began to organize, pushing back against pollution and industrial disregard, and culture transformed as music education and protest merged with Woodstock and Sesame Street. Now let us talk about Nixon's executive orders. He issued more than 50 executive orders that year alone with long-lasting effects on civil rights, federal labor policies, emergency preparedness, and the environment. Here are what I would call the top executive actions of that year. Top 10 executive orders of 1969. Number 1, Executive Order 11478 established equal employment opportunity in the federal government. It helped move our country toward greater fairness in hiring and workplace inclusion. Number 2, Executive Order 1149. 1, defined labor management relations for federal workers, setting a framework for union and labor rights inside government service. Number 3, Executive Order 11490 outlined how federal departments should prepare for emergencies. This structure still influences our national response to crises. Number 4, Executive Order 1147. 2, created the Environmental Quality Council, laying a path for the environmental protections we see today. Number 5, Executive Order 1149. 4, created the Presidential Citizens Medal, an honor that has since recognized the extraordinary efforts of everyday Americans. Number 6, Executive Order 1146. 0, reestablished the President's Intelligence Advisory Board and helped shape oversight in an era of Cold War secrecy. Number 7, Executive Order 11458, advanced opportunities for minority business owners, opening the door for government contracts and small business growth in underserved communities. Number 8, Executive Order 1149. 7, established the draft lottery system, a moment that changed lives forever and stirred protests in every city and campus. Number 9, Executive Order 11485 gave the President clearer control of the National Guard in the District of Columbia, vital in managing civil unrest and security in the capital. Number 10, Executive Order 11452 established the Council for Urban Affairs, recognizing that our cities needed federal attention as they grew in complexity and inequality. These orders didn't just affect policy in their day, they shaped structures that we still use. They helped define civil service fairness. They influenced how we prepare for disaster. They pushed forward diversity. They laid groundwork for environmental reforms. Of course, we know that Nixon's presidency ended in scandal with Watergate and the first presidential resignation in history. But in 1969, his use of executive authority was just beginning, and it offers a glimpse of both the potential and the peril of presidential power. We will take a closer look at each of these executive orders soon. Stay tuned and stay curious. This is our shared history. Let us honor it by learning from it.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.